So, John, what would I have to do to drive you to shoot me in the head?
Well, it's interesting you should ask that question, Harry.
Welcome, everybody, to episode 60 of Beyond the Box Set.
Ooh.
Woo! Podcast where we pitch prequels, sequels, and spin-offs to films that don't have any. I'm Harry. Joining me as always is John.
Hello.
So, John, of Mice and Men.
Yeah, well, you've gone highbrow this week. Is this to celebrate 60 episodes, or...?
No, not intentionally. It's been on my list for a while, this one. I'm sure that you studied it in English in GCSE, along with every other person in this country.
Yeah.
Why do we study this?
Because it's a classic.
Is it?
Well, did you like it?
No.
No? What, did you not like the book?
I studied this book 5 years in a row.
How is that even possible?
Because I had a series of new English teachers, and each one came in and was like, right, it's the first thing that I'm going to do for my new class. We're going to study Of Mice and Men.
And did nobody think to put the hand up and say, we've kind of done it already?
Yeah.
What kind of crackpot school did you go to?
I don't know. But yeah, we did that, and so that did mean that I've seen the film 5 times, broken up into about 5 separate lessons each time.
Mm-hmm. I mean, watching it, I did get the feeling... I've not watched this adaptation before, to my knowledge, unless I've forgotten about it. But I did immediately get that kind of flashback to sitting in a classroom, and, you know, it's totally that kind of film. It's such a classroom film. Mm-hmm. You don't get these kind of films nowadays, I don't think.
No,
Not the same way, where they just take a classic book and they go, right, okay, this is really good. Let's make a film of this. Mm-hmm. And then that's kind of all they do. Mm. I don't know, I think nowadays it would be some kind of experimental, they'd put some twist on it, whereas this is really just literally books a screen. Yeah. It also felt a bit stagey to me, like it could very easily just be a play.
Yeah, I thought that too.
Which apparently is because Gary Sinise, who stars and also directed it, had already appeared in a stage production, I think possibly with John Malkovich, so it might actually just be a stage to screen kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was very good. Mm. It was profoundly depressing. As the book is,
yeah.
But it was quite. It did feel like a nice little gentle throwback to these kind of films that, as I say, you don't really see much anymore. These just very kind of unassuming storytelling films. I guess, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
you look very unconfident with what you're saying now.
No, it's not that I'm not confident with what I'm saying. It's just that I don't know. It's weird for a book, for such a famous, iconic book and I guess film. I always make notes of like what I want to talk about on the episode, like little pointers, and it was really hard to think of much to say about this really, because it's the book and it's nice, and you know, I had a nice time mostly. Some bits I was quite upset, but on the whole,
clearly spoken by somebody who studies English literature.
Oh yes, such deep analysis there.
Guys like us that work on ranches are the loneliest guys in the world. They got no family, and they don't belong to no place. They got nothing to look ahead to.
But not us, George. Tell about us now.
Well, we ain't like that. No. We got a future. We got somebody to talk to that gives a damn about us. If them other guys gets in jail, they can rot for all anybody cares.
But not us, George, because I got you to look after me, but then you got me to look after. But George, tell about how it's gonna be.
But I mean, like, what did you think watching it back?
You're right. It felt very classroomy. It felt, you know, finish this scene, start this scene, finish this scene, start this scene. It also did feel like a stage show, I guess. I think some of the bits that stood out to me were bits that I've now educated myself on a little bit more than I was in school.
Sure.
For example, the black character.
Yes.
Who everybody refers to as just the N-word.
Yes.
Which got quite uncomfortable as the film went on. And then it also made me realise, wait, this was one of the words that I didn't understand what it was when we all had to read this out in class. So we were just reading this. A class of white people just reading that out as though it's a completely normal thing to read. Mm-hmm. And there was not a black person in my class.
Sure.
But I don't know what would have happened if there was like one black person. I think there was about one black person in our school. Mm-hmm.
Really racially diverse in Mid Wales.
Yeah, that's Mid Wales for you.
It's interesting you say that because this book is obviously on every curriculum, but it's also one of the most banned books in schools. A lot of schools ban it because of the use of the N-word throughout the book and other profanity in the book. And also because some people argue that the film promotes euthanasia. Because obviously, at the end of it, well, we should probably just slightly cycle back and do a quick plot summary for those who haven't read Of Mice and Men or seen any adaptation of it. So it's an adaptation of the book, well, the novella by John Steinbeck, one of the great American writers. And it stars Gary Sinise and John Malkovich. It's set in the 1910s, did you say? Yeah, it says around the 1910s, so plantation era America. And they are two friends? Question mark friends, yeah.
We'll circle back to that.
Two companions, two people who certainly enjoy each other's company to a degree. So two companions who are kind of working on various farms, travelling, they're just working men. And John Malkovich's character Lennie has some kind of disability mentally. At the very least, he's somewhat slow or childlike in his behaviour. He seems to have the mind of a child in many ways.
Yeah.
It's never clear exactly what's happened to him. But consequently, Gary Sinise's character, George, has to be very protective of him, has to look after him. And that's kind of how their relationship is. And they dream of having a farm together where they can tend the rabbits and grow crops. And so after leaving one farm where apparently Lennie has inadvertently scared or attacked or scared a woman, we see them running away from a bunch of guys with dogs at the beginning of the film. And then they have to go to another farm to work. And they do. And then history kind of repeats itself. Lennie, he seems like a gentle soul, but he's obviously, because he's very big and large and physically strong, he doesn't know his own strength, and he often accidentally hurts or kills people. Well, he often accidentally hurts or kills animals. That's a running theme. So he keeps killing mice because he pets them too hard, and then he gets a puppy, and then he pets that too hard and kills that. And then ultimately so the farmer has a son who has a wife who has no name, who's just Curly's wife, played by Sherilyn Fenn. Lovely, beautiful Sherilyn Fenn from Twin Peaks. And yet she's very lonely and a bit of an that's harsh. She's not an attention seeker. She is quite flirtatious with the farm staff because she's quite lonely and isolated. And she has a moment of connection with Lennie where she takes pity on him and they have a little conversation. She lets him stroke her hair because he likes to touch soft things. And then he gets a bit too hard he pets her a little bit too hard. And then she panics and he grabs her and accidentally kills her. And then at the end of the film, spoiler alert for Of Mice and Men, Lennie...
You say spoiler alert.
I mean, come on.
But find me a single book in any high school that is not written in the front page, George kills Lennie at the end.
Wow, people in Wales are dicks.
That's just the way it is.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway, so, yes, at the end of the film, George is forced to... Well, rather than have Lennie be lynched by the mob that gathers when they find out that Curly's wife has been killed, and it's obviously he did it, he takes Lennie to their secret place and shoots him in the back of the head. And then it ends. And it's very sad and upsetting. And that's the film.
Where are we gonna go now?
I don't know.
I like it here. Tell me like you done before. About them other guys and about us.
Yeah, so this book gets banned because it uses the M-word, has a lot of other profanity, and people say that end scene in which George shoots Lennie in the back of the head to spare him from being lynched or whatever might have happened to him otherwise, promotes euthanasia. Which, I guess...
Loosely?
It seems a little bit of a stretch. I don't know. I mean... I'm not black, the N-word isn't used against me, so it's easy for me to say, but I'm not a big fan of classic literature being banned because it's too provocative, I think.
No, I think it's important for education purposes.
Exactly, yeah.
As long as education isn't just, here kids, read the word.
Yeah.
It's more teaching people about the word.
Yeah, it's about the context.
And where it came from and...
Yeah.
Yeah,
why it's not acceptable, yeah.
Yeah,
so, exactly. But that should be part of the discussion, I think, when you are...
Yeah, because it absolutely wasn't for me.
That's awful.
In 5 years.
That's terrible. What a damning indictment of the Welsh education system.
Or... Maybe I just blotted it all out from my memory, which has been known to happen.
That's true, yeah. Anyway, what did you think of the performances?
They were all pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, got to say John Malkovich really went for it in this.
He did.
Gary Sinise was Gary Sinise.
Yes. Yeah, Gary Sinise has a type, and this is definitely in the mould of Lieutenant Dan. And he's like dry.
Easily.
Yeah.
But yeah, John Malkovich was something special to look at.
Yeah. I'd never thought of him as being like especially large before.
No, me neither.
It was weird. I was like, have you always been like 6'2"?
I don't think he is.
Do you think it's like filmed in a way to make him look taller than he is? That's interesting, yeah. I've seen him in other things, like Being John Malkovich, for example. And yeah, he just seems like, if anything, I would have assumed he was quite slight, but in this, whether it is camera shots or whether he is actually just very tall and very broad, he looked like a giant, which I guess is the point, but yeah. He was great. It was very capital letters acting.
Yeah.
It was very like acting. It's weird. I think people of sound mind playing people with mental disabilities is always a bit uncomfortable to watch sometimes. It's a very hard line to tread. I think he did well. Like he did it sensitively, and it was he really gave you a sense that the character wasn't just this, killing machine. He really got a sense of it humanized the character very well, and it made all the things that unraveled extra sad, I guess. Yeah. It's such a sad film and book and just general story.
Overall, it might have been a weird choice for a film this week.
A little bit, yeah. No, I think it's an interesting choice to make, to do this, because, I would never in a million years have expected you to suggest this.
More into my weird sci-fi films, aren't I?
No, I think it's good to branch out, though.
This one could do with like an alien invasion, or it turns out they're all robots at the end.
Don't spoil my sequel just yet. We'll get there.
God almighty, that dog here stinks candy. He's got no teeth. He's all stiff from rheumatism. Ain't no good to you. Hell, he ain't no good to himself. Why don't you just shoot him, Candy?
Oh, I couldn't do that. I had him too long.
So I guess there's the character of Curly as well, who is the older man. No, Candy, sorry. Candy's the old man who's very lonely and has his dog shots at one point, which I found very upsetting. And
I was right with it.
Oh, sure. And they were monster.
Why did that guy shoot the dog?
Because he was a dick.
Nothing wrong with the dog.
That part, I felt so bad for the dog. Like, it just looked a bit old and mangy. Well,
Yeah, and so did Candy.
Yeah, exactly.
They fitted really well.
Yeah, I guess maybe that was the...
What are you going to do? Give him a puppy now? Like, the guy's pushing 85.
Yeah, he's not going to outlive that puppy.
Which in 1910 is a miracle. I looked it up. The life expectancy in 1910 for men in America ranged from 53 years to 36 years.
Yeesh. So he was definitely
yeah,
on bonus time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Easily. A good 20 years, maybe.
Yeah. But yeah, the urgency to shoot the dog. It just felt like that guy, who wasn't a major character, but was just one of the farmhands, just really wanted to shoot the dog.
Yeah.
It was so unnecessary. Like,
weird nighttime activity.
Yeah, it was like the dog looks a bit tired. Oh, kill it.
Also, like, do it in daytime when it's not everybody's sleeping.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody's sleeping. Let's get out a gun and shoot things.
I love how that's your immediate concern. Hey, this dog murder is going to disturb my beauty sleep.
Yeah, well, but who's got to dig a hole in the middle of the night and bury it or whatever?
Well, do you want to do that in broad daylight when there might be like, people, everyone can see it? Like, at least it was... I think it was better to do it under cover of darkness if it had to be done at all.
Maybe, yeah. Do it in a barn or something, whatever.
Yeah. I don't want to think too much about the logistics of when it's okay to shoot a dog, because the answer is never.
They kite you sometimes.
Have you ever had a dog come at you? You don't carry a gun.
I wish I did.
We should just... Okay, this podcast just took a turn. Harry's pro-NRA now.
I once had a dog jump up and bite me on the arm. It was a little Jack Russell, and just lifted my arm up, and the dog came with it.
Oh, no.
Hanging off my arm.
Oh, no.
By its teeth.
How old were you?
15 or something? I don't know.
Is this why? Is this why?
It's about the time I was reading of Mice and Men, and I was like, if only I had a gun with me.
So is that the root cause of your subsequent antipathy towards dogs?
No, I just generally don't like them.
Oh, okay.
I don't really see what the attraction is.
The attraction of dogs is that they're loyal and they're friendly and
They're disgusting.
I think cats are disgusting.
Cats are loyal and friendly, but they keep themselves clean.
How are cats loyal or friendly? They're the opposite of those things.
Cats have favourite people.
The people who feed them. They have favourite servants.
Yeah, sure.
My favourite, it probably isn't true, but my favourite fact I've read on the internet about cats is that they always think that they own the home that they live in and that you're just the person who stays with them.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Whereas dogs, they're like, you're the master. I think you can tell a lot about a person whether they prefer a cat or a dog. I think it probably speaks a lot to their kind of general attitude towards the world.
But dogs are just always there. Whether you want them there or not, they're always like, play with me, you need to give me attention right now, no matter what. True. Like, you might want to just hang around and do nothing all day. Well, cats are already there.
Yeah, okay, cats are right there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make a good point. All I'm saying is I could have standard to see a few more cats get shot in this film, at least just for balance,
Okay, well, we're going off on one here.
We are slightly going off the rails, yeah. And then, so obviously, Sherilyn Fenn's character is married to a guy called Curly, who seems like a real asshole.
I like him because he's just such a dickhead.
He is. There's no redeeming features whatsoever to Curly. He's the best kind of horror villain as well because he's like a wimp.
Yeah.
Like, he thinks he's hard, but he's actually super wimpy.
Well, I don't think he is.
Well, he gets...
If somebody can grab your fist and crush it so much that the bones shatter and blood comes out...
Okay, sure, yeah.
It's not really a wimpy thing to be like, ow.
No, that's true. Okay, fair. But it's nice to see him brought down a peg or two.
Yeah.
Yes. Even though that scene, again, was gross.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I mean, this film did a lot with...
That was the high point in the film.
Yeah. It was satisfying, but I kind of did watch it through my fingers a little bit. Because I couldn't remember how violent it got. I didn't know it was going to have like a horrible close-up of like the bones sticking out of the hand or something, which thankfully it did not. Yeah, I guess this is why it's popular for classrooms, because this film manages to suggest a lot of violence without really showing a lot of violence.
Yeah.
Because you don't really see any of the animals get killed. You just see the aftermath.
Yeah, and like when Lennie gets shot in the back of the head.
It's kind of pulled away, yeah. You don't see his brain.
Pulled away and he falls down. There's literally no blood at all.
And I mean, if
there's not even like a little bit of blood just on the back of his head or something.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Whereas really, it should have been like a full explosion through the front of the face.
Yeah, exactly. If you shot someone at point blank range with a shotgun, their heads would explode. Like, so, yeah. I mean, I'm glad it didn't make that decision. But
it's another way the film could have been better.
By being hyper violent.
Yeah. If Tarantino made this.
True.
Now that'd be a good thing to show in high schools.
Well, I think that's probably, if it gets remade again, that's
increased use of the N-word.
Yes, it would actually. Yeah. Just dial everything up to 11. Yeah, that's a good point. If you were going to remake it, I mean, obviously you've got a sequel coming, but if you have someone direct it, Tarantino,
it'd
be different for him. Well, yeah,
maybe that could be his 10th and final film.
Could be. Yeah, just end on a classic. You know.
Get him, Lennie! Get him!
Get some drinking games?
Yes, let's go some drinking games. Cool.
Okay. Well, my first one is drink for denim.
I put that down too. There's so much denim in this film.
Pretty sure Lennie was wearing triple denim throughout.
He was rocking the denim cap and the denim dungarees and the denim shirt. Yeah, a lot of denim in this film.
So yeah, drink for denim.
Yeah. There was no wig watch in this, but I thought, yeah, there is a lot of denim, so I might sometimes substitute wig watch for denim watch or something. I'm so glad you picked up on that too. Okay. I had another obvious one, which is drink for dead animals. Or references to dead animals.
Certainly. There's only 3, aren't there? There's the mouse, there's the puppy, there's the
big dog, yeah.
The dog.
We'll take a big drink then. It's upsetting.
All right, sure.
Just, fortify yourself.
Fine, okay. Next one is drink for any word in the script that you don't understand.
Okay, such as?
Such as near the start when Lennie's got the mouse and he's not going to throw it away and George is like, do I have to come over there and sock you? Just like, what does that mean? I mean, I get that it means hit, but...
You never heard that phrase before?
Nope.
Sock you?
Nope. In school we all laughed because it sounded like suck.
Well, it is the same word, sock.
Suck as in, like, to suck something.
Oh!
To suck a lollipop.
When you say... Okay, you
else.
say suck to sound like sock. So, yeah, maybe in your weird hillbilly accent, but most people it sounds quite different. But, yeah. That's weird. I never thought of that. I mean, it's kind of an old-timey phrase, but I've heard it before. I'll sock you one, No?
Nope.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, there is a lot of, oldie-worldy language in this, it being a period film, obviously.
Yeah.
Cool, okay. Drink for rabbits. Again, references to. Every time he says, will there be rabbits?
Yep, solid. Drink for poorly written minority characters is screen time.
Yeah. Just waterfall through that one scene with the black guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that felt...
Curly's wife.
Oh, okay, minority including women. Yeah, okay. I don't think she was poorly written. I mean, she was...
She didn't have a name.
Okay, yeah, she was underwritten. But I don't think, it's not about her. The story, it's not her story, but...
The film's not about the black guy story either, but...
Actually, you're probably right. They're probably both slightly stereotyped in the sense that she's this, like, sexual threat. And she's just very flirty and kind of, like, shallow. And he is very, very, very broadly stereotyped, It definitely drew some broad strokes with the women and the ethnic minorities in the film. That's fair.
Was there more than one woman?
Okay, the woman and the ethnic minority. So yes, they had one of each. Yes, both pretty broad strokes.
That's why I'd like to clarify. I can call a woman a minority in this if there's only one woman.
In the sense that she's the minority in the film. Okay, great, sure, that makes sense. Yeah. Maybe I was slightly. I was primed to like that character more than she deserved to be because I'm a big fan of Twin Peaks, the TV show, and I consequently love seeing Sherilyn Fenn in anything. You probably have no idea who she is.
No.
But yeah, she's also in. I made you watch Wild at Heart. Do you remember that film?
No.
No. We watched it one time. Not for the podcast. Maybe we will at some point in the future.
What was it about?
Nicolas Cage, Laura Dern, lots of Wizard of Oz references, David Lynch, surreal, on the road together. He's really into Elvis. He's got his leather jacket. It's quite violent.
No.
No memory whatsoever?
No,
Go
any
on.
bells.
Well, we're going to watch that again sometime.
Ugh. I hate films with Wizard of Oz references. There's so many.
It's
It's got very boring now.
It's a pretty heavy-handed one.
It's like, oh, the whole film was actually the Wizard of Oz all along, but you didn't quite realise until the end. Ugh. Shut
oh no,
up.
you'll realise pretty quickly. Anyway, she played the Scarecrow.
Great.
Yes. Spoiler alert. Okay, so my next one was, do you think when this film kind of reminds you of Brokeback Mountain?
In what sense?
In the sense that you can read a lot into that relationship.
Sure.
Yeah. That's what I meant when I was like, friends? Question mark. Like,
Right,
what is
fair
their
enough, yeah.
what is their relationship like?
Yeah.
And especially at the beginning, there's just lots of them. It's very very similar to the scenes in Brokeback Mountain when they are out on the range and they're cooking beans together and talking about the future and stuff. And because all the stuff about, oh, we're gonna have a farm together, and I'm sure it's probably a deliberate homage that Brokeback Mountain made. But Jake Gyllenhaal's character in that is very much like the Gary Sinise character when he's like, we could get a farm together, we could raise
Yeah,
raise
I
land together.
suppose.
Yeah. People keep referencing how weird it is that two guys travel together, and they're like, it's not weird. But then there's lots of like lies and deception where he's like, George says Lennie is his cousin who got hit on the head as a child, and then Lennie's like, I ain't your cousin, I never got hit on the head when I was no child. And it's like, he's like, yeah, but say that, it makes things easier. Like, it just seems like there might be something,
Oh, yeah.
Also, like, I mean, obviously Lennie, one of the things is, I'm not saying they're gay, because Lennie obviously is on some level very attracted to women because that's what causes him all of his problems,
Yeah.
But George is like utterly uninterested in Curly's wife. Could not be less attracted to her. He just seems to view women as a bit of a threat. Like he seems like he's got his Lennie, and that's all that makes him happy. He just likes hanging out with Lennie.
Yeah.
And it's very sweet. But there are a few times when I was kind of like, is this going to go a bit Brokeback Mountain? I know it wasn't.
Fair enough, yeah.
I knew it wasn't going to, but it's like,
Well, I wasn't kicked in the head with no horse, George.
Be a damn good thing if you was. It'd save everybody a hell of a lot of trouble.
You said I was your cousin.
Well, that was a lie. If I was a relative of yours, I'd shoot myself.
Okay, so shall we talk a little bit about Patreon?
Seamless.
Well, that's what editing's for, Harry.
So, Patreon, we're there. If you would like to support the show, if you're a fan, then we'd be very, very appreciative.
Appreciative?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll do.
Very appreciative, yes.
If you do, we have some bonus content on there for you. So, every now and then we release a film review of a film that's currently in cinema.
Yeah.
I don't know what our latest one is. I think it might be Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider we released this week, and hope maybe Ready Player One will be out soon after this.
Yeah,
Maybe, if we catch it.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yes, and also every month we will do a free advert slot for you. So it's a 30-second ad slot for anything you want to promote. It could be your own podcast. It could be a friend's podcast. It could be anything that you want.
It doesn't have to be a podcast. It can be a fridge.
Yeah, if you want to do an advert about a fridge.
Yeah. Anything you like, we'll plug it. Within reason. Yeah. Yes. We've already had a few of our lovely Patreon subscribers have sent us some promo slots, and we're going to play one of those right now.
We know you love box sets and the area outside of them.
Do you ever wonder what people see in artists like Garth Brooks and Insane Clown Posse?
There's a lot of hidden value in this music, and we want to understand why people are so dedicated to these artists.
We're Think Outside the Box Set, and we almost accidentally stole the name of Beyond the Box Set.
Join me, Cameron DeWitt,
And me, Nathan Hunt.
as we listen to artists that many people dismiss, maybe for good reason,
Check out boxset.website.
or your preferred podcatcher.
You've tried the best, now try the rest.
Great. What else do we offer?
Every month, also, we have one Patreon come on as a guest on the show.
Yes.
And our last one was
Julio from the Contrarians podcast. We discussed That Thing You Do was our last episode. It was great fun. Yeah, it's always a good time. We love having them on, and it's often a lot of fun. So, yeah, stay tuned for more of those, and if you'd like to be one of them, get on board.
Yeah. And finally, the last thing that we do is, if you like, you can send us your name and some details, and we will make you a character in one of our sequels.
Yes. Still waiting for someone to pick up on that one.
Yeah, no,
I'd really like to do that.
Yeah, no one has yet. I don't know why. It's so easy.
I know,
There's no commitment to it or anything.
Yeah.
It could be a made-up name. It doesn't need to be your name.
True. I think that might be why. Maybe a bit of a security issue.
Sure.
Personal
sure.
security.
Okay, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so that's patreon.com/beyondtheboxset.
And it's a pay-as-you-feel tiered system, which
That's
means you can
right.
pay as much or as little as you like monthly, and you get the same access to all the same bonus features regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, if you want to pay a bit more, we wouldn't turn it down.
Anything between $2 and 15,000, which is apparently the limit on Patreon for some reason.
Still haven't got our first $15,000 subscriber, but
No.
I live in hope.
Yeah.
That'll be a good day when that email comes through.
Yeah, well, come and shake your hand in person, wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, I'll shake anything if it feels that much a month.
Oof, okay, Well, on that note,
On that
right, what have you got this week then?
Okay. Sorry. So, okay. This was really hard to do a sequel to because it's a classic novel. How do you write a sequel to one of the greatest stories ever told? You know what I mean? So I decided not to. End of podcast.
I don't know. We haven't done that episode yet.
You know, what is considered a classic canon kind of story. You know?
Sure.
So yeah, I've not done a sequel in the traditional sense this week. I've gone on something a little bit more abstract. So this is called Of Mice and Ben.
Of Mice and Ben.
Yes.
I have no idea what you're going to do with this.
Any guesses before I start?
Like Ben 10 or something? I don't know. I'm just trying to think of Bens in pop culture. There's not many.
No, not Ben 10. Okay, well, get comfortable, and I will spin you a tale. So, we open in LA, Hollywood. The year is 2017. Ben Affleck.
Oh, I was thinking Ben Mendelsohn.
Why would you go from Ben 10 to Ben Mendelsohn and then land at Ben Affleck?
I don't know.
Well, that kind of fits with what I'm going for here, but that is damning. That is damning.
There's going to be loads of Bens.
I'll wait and see.
So, yes.
No, actually, no. It's,
Oh, sorry.
So it's 2017, LA. Ben Affleck, the actor, director, is reading a trade paper, and the headline screams, Justice League bombs at the box office. Subheading, is it time for Affleck to hand over the Batsuit? So this is reflecting on real-life events in the past year or so when he's co-starred in the disastrously received Justice League movie. So this is going to be Ben Affleck playing himself. This is going to be Ben Affleck kind of making fun of himself a little bit. I think he'd be up for it. I think the time's right for this kind of role for him. Maybe.
Okay, cool.
We'll see. Anyway, Ben, call me. So he puts his head in his hands, and it's the epitome of sad Affleck. You know, that meme that went around, sad Ben Affleck. So over the sound of Simon and Garfunkel's The Sound of Silence, we then see the opening credit montage of all of Ben Affleck's real-life recent PR disasters. So there's Batman versus Superman, there's Justice League, there's The Accountant. Remember that? That terrible film, The Accountant, we saw in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
There is Live by Night, which I didn't see, which by all accounts was equally terrible. His divorce from Jennifer Garner, that awful back tattoo he's got recently that everyone's making fun of. So it's just montaging Ben Affleck's terrible couple of years in his career recently. And then, end of credits, we cut to a scene in his agent's office. And the agent can be played by someone, agency like Paul Giamatti or something. It doesn't matter.
Sure.
But I'm thinking he'd be good. And Ben is saying to his agent, look, I just don't understand it. It feels like I just can't catch a break at the moment. Everything I do goes wrong. And his agent says, look, the fact is, right now, you, Ben Affleck, are box office poison. The studio doesn't want to risk another $100 million blockbuster on you. The critics are tearing everything you do to shreds. We need you to do some damage control now and rebuild your reputation a little bit. So, no more superhero stuff, no more big action movies. Just go back to basics. Let's remind people of the Ben Affleck who made films like Argo and Gone Baby Gone, you know. So why don't you go away and think about maybe a smaller project you want to do, something a bit more artistic, a bit respectable, that might get you another Oscar nomination. And then we'll see if we can get that off the ground.
Yeah.
And so we see Ben then look into the middle distance, and we fade into a dreamy flashback of Ben Affleck's teenage years in the late 80s. He's going to have big hair and terrible clothes, and he's going to be sitting in a sun-dappled field, blissfully reading a well-worn copy of Mice and Men by the riverside or something. And then maybe teenage Matt Damon's going to run over and be like, hey, come, we're going to go smoke pot. And he'll be like, no, you go ahead. I'm fine right here. He's going to continue reading his book. Because it turns out Ben Affleck was a sensitive, artistic one all along. Everyone assumed it was Matt Damon, but no, Ben Affleck was actually the brains of the whole bunch.
Okay, sure.
In this story. We don't, in real life, yeah.
That's your disclaimer. In this story,
Ben Affleck's the smart one. So we cut back, and Ben tells his agent, I think I know exactly what I want to do. And so what he's decided, obviously, is to direct a new adaptation of Mice and Men. Because it's been 26 years since the Gary Sinise one. And it feels like the perfect passion project to kind of, restore his credibility. Just take a classic novel and do a respectful telling of it. It doesn't have to be a huge budget. Rather than like a $100 million blockbuster, he can do it for like 20, 30 million. Just something nice, respectable. Who could possibly object to that? So for the first half of the movie, we're going to see him kind of going door to door with the studios, trying to get this project greenlit. And a lot of studio execs, they're not sure. They're worried the story might be a little bit dated. It's been done already. How are they going to market it, etc. Just kind of making a comment on the fact that these kind of films don't really get made anymore. But he's very persistent. And eventually, one of the major studios does agree to give him a modest budget. So maybe 20, 30, 40 million to produce the film. But because of his recent run of flops, they also employ a focus group of millennials to oversee the production. there's going to be like a focus group of people in their like early 20s who are very hipsterish, who are basically going to be on set making notes and making suggestions on behalf of the studio to make sure the project stays commercial.
Yeah.
So the initial plan suggested by the studio is that they reunite Affleck and Damon, the classic duo, as George and Lennie, because that's going to be really marketable.
Okay, yeah.
So Ben wants to play the noble, less risky role of George. He doesn't want to go and do a whole, Lennie routine, because he feels like, that's dangerous. Matt can handle that. I'm not pretending to have mental health problems because.
Sure, good reasons. I'll definitely cast them the other way around.
Yeah, same. But
Yeah.
Ben is playing it safe. He's like, no, I'm going to play George. He's the noble hero. It's very hard to get wrong. So yeah, and Matt agrees to play Lennie. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, because as we know, Matt Damon's career also hasn't exactly been upsy recently. He's had Suburbicon, he's had Downsizing.
Downsizing was good.
It was good, but it bombed.
Did it?
Yeah. It didn't get great reviews. I know we liked it, but I think we were in the minority with that one. His career's not going Ben Affleck bad, but it's been a while since he's had like a massive hit. So yeah, he's also, not having the best couple of years. So he sees the opportunity to play a person with mental difficulties or disabilities as his best opportunity to finally win that Best Actor Oscar, which now that Leo's won it, I think he's the person who's most waiting for it, who hasn't had one yet. He's one of those, definitely in the top 5.
Do you think?
He's never won one.
I get that, but really?
I don't feel like he wants it as badly as Leo wanted it, but I feel like he's definitely in the upper echelon of people in Hollywood who...
But he's not trying hard enough.
True, yeah, he could try harder.
Absolutely certain.
But, he probably thought Suburbicon and Downsizing were going to be good roles when he took them,
Yeah, but like you never catch Leo taking films like that.
True, yeah. He's like, if I'm not suffering, then I'm not playing the part. So Matt gets a sniff of an Oscar, big time with this role. Consequently, he goes full method. And he refuses to drop out of character at all on set, so he's constantly being the character of Lennie the whole time. Much to everyone's annoyance. Like, he's annoying everyone on set because he never drops character. So again, this is going to be Matt Damon like making fun of himself as this kind of like very serious method actor. Mm-hmm. But also, to make matters worse, his performance is super, super hammy. Like, he thinks he's being really like Daniel Day-Lewis, but actually it's just cringy and embarrassing and probably a bit offensive. It's like, oh God, no. So the next big conflict comes when it comes to casting the role of Curly's wife, the Sherilyn Fenn role. Mm-hmm. So Ben wants to cast a really respected performer, like someone like Jessica Chastain or Natalie Portman, who can really, give it the gravitas that it deserves. But the studio worries that now the cast's trending a little bit old. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck are both in their late 40s. Mm-hmm. Jessica Chastain, I think, is 41, 42. They're like, no. We need someone who can bring in the teen demographic. If this movie's going to make money, we need to bring in someone young. So despite Ben's protestations and complaints, they insist on casting pop sensation Selena Gomez.
Oh no!
Do you know who she is?
I've got an idea in my head.
Yeah.
That's grim. All right.
Yeah. Selena Gomez is not good.
Really?
I mean, I don't. I'm not making any judgment. I've not seen any of her films. I've not seen the High School Musical trilogy. But
yeah.
But in this version, like again, she's making fun of herself. If we imagine this to be a real thing.
Sure.
She's not a good actress. And it's not working. And this quickly leads to another problem. That watching a 47-year-old Matt Damon lusting after a 25-year-old Selena Gomez is just far too creepy and unsettling.
Yeah, that was my first thought.
It's not fun to watch.
Yeah.
So added to the fact that his performance is really, really going off the rails and not working, the focus group forces Ben to fire Matt, which obviously he does not take well. Because now Ben Affleck is having to fire his best friend. So we're going to have probably a really funny scene of Ben having to like, Matt, sit down. I've got some bad news. And Matt taking it terribly and them having a big fight. So
yeah.
That happens. Anyway, this means, once Matt has finally been got rid of, this means that several weeks of shooting have already been wasted because they've already started filming the film and now they've had to fire one of the lead actors.
Yeah.
So now the studio's getting even more nervous and they're taking even more control away from Ben and pushing it in their own direction. So they force him to replace Matt Damon with obviously somebody younger, someone who might be better who might make more sense cast alongside Selena Gomez as...
I thought you were going to say, and they're going to make Ben Affleck play both parts.
No. That would have been an interesting twist, but no. The idea is they can't have a 47-year-old against Selena Gomez. So like, who would make sense to cast opposite Selena Gomez in this movie? So the obvious answer is Justin Bieber.
Sure.
Who actually dated Selena Gomez for several years, I believe.
Okay, cool.
I'm up on my celebrity gossip.
Yeah, that's weird enough. I think that you know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I don't even know who Jennifer Garner is.
You do, right?
Nope.
Ben Affleck's ex-wife.
Yeah, I got that.
From what would you have seen her in? She played Elektra in the Elektra movie and in the original Daredevil movie. Oh, come on. I'm speaking your language here. You'd know her face. She's one of those.
Sure.
Anyway, I'll show you a picture later. Anyway, it doesn't matter. She's not relevant to this.
I can't wait.
Aside from the fact that she's Ben Affleck's ex-wife. It doesn't matter. So they cast Justin Bieber is now playing the role of Lennie, which in itself is obviously, pretty funny.
Yep.
Well, it was when I was writing this. I don't need your pity. So yeah, because Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez used to be a real-life couple, the studio thinks reuniting them on the big screen could be a huge box office success. Mm-hmm. So Justin Bieber is predictably a total nightmare. Again, he's playing up to his stereotype of being a brat and being really high maintenance and stuff.
Yeah.
And he does not want to play somebody who has mental difficulties. So the studio tells Ben that actually they want to kind of tone down that element of the story. Mm-hmm. And make Lennie just a gentle young farmhand who just dreams of being a singer. And so Ben is now exasperated. He's like, Lennie's mental difficulties are the whole story. That's the whole point of the film. How does my relationship with him even make sense if he's 20 years younger than me and he's a totally sound mind? So the studio has now brought in a new batch of writers to revamp the film in this new direction they want to go in. This new batch of writers are all in their early 20s, and their previous credits include Two Broke Girls and the Despicable Me franchise. And they polish up the script a little bit.
Okay.
They decide.
Are these writers the cast of the writing room from 30 Rock?
I'm thinking that's basically where we're going with this, yeah. Except younger, yeah.
Right, sure.
No, I think the more young...
Oh,
they were more nerds. I'm thinking more like young, millennial kind of hipster kind of writers. Like,
okay.
Yeah, who've never read a book, That's the joke. So they decide to change the relationship between George and Lennie to turn Ben Affleck's George character from the best friend who might be in love with him to Justin Bieber's crotchety old uncle who took care of him after his parents died. So this means he's gone from being the star to basically being a supporting character who's only in a couple of scenes. Mm-hmm. And the romance between Lennie and Curly's wife is now the central plot of the film. Mm. So this has gone a long way from, by this point, Ben's totally lost control of the project. Yeah. This is barely even recognisable as Of Mice and Men anymore. Like, it's so gone off the rails. Mm-hmm. But the studio has him in an ironclad contract, and his agent advises him that, look, the only way to get out of this is to do what they say, just pray that somehow the movie's a success. Because if you quit, you're going to get sued for millions. So,
yeah.
So he reluctantly continues filming this sanitized bastardization of what used to be Of Mice and Men, the classic novel. And once this has happened, the changes now come thick and fast. So the next thing that the studio notes decide is that the plantation era farm setting is a little bit too controversial. It's a bit of a hot button. Mm-hmm. So they change it to a modern day high school instead.
Okay, yeah.
Also, Selena demands that she gets a musical number, because that's her whole thing, causing Bieber to retaliate by demanding he gets at least 3 musical numbers for every one she gets. Mm-hmm. So I guess it's a musical now. Mm-hmm. Now it's gone from being Of Mice and Men to a high school musical. And it all culminates in a big song and dance number at the prom. The song is written and produced by David Guetta, the French DJ, and it's called 10 My Rabbit Bitch. And so Ben's filming this horrible scene of this dreadful song in this utter bastardization of his passion project. Mm-hmm. And he just has a moment of complete realization of how far he's gone once again. He just wanted to do something that was creative and artistic. And just like Justice League, it's just all gone wrong behind the scenes. And he just has a moment of utter depression. So he has a massive kind of tantrum, shuts down the set for the day and storms off and goes, he's like, I need a drink. So he storms off and into his favourite LA bar, basically, to just get blasted. Yeah. He walks into the bar, and who should he see? Sat at the bar looking very dishevelled, but Matt Damon, who hasn't reacted well at all to being fired from this project and has been on a bender for several days as it happens. Right. So he's not in a good place at all. And so obviously Damon immediately spots him and squares up. He's like, we won an Oscar together for Good Will Hunting, and now you fired me. How could you fire me? I'm your best friend. It's a real drunken confrontation. And Ben tries to cool him down, but he's also really wound up. And in the end, he snaps, and they get into a vicious kind of fist fight, just letting all that rage together. And they end up falling out the bar, outside onto the street, still fighting, just rolling around on the sidewalk. Obviously, paparazzi spot them immediately. Like, imagine if suddenly Ben Affleck and Matt Damon were having a full-on fist fight in public. Like, the paparazzi are like, oh my God, this is a dream. So they're like surrounding them, taking pictures. It's all very humiliating, but they're still fighting and punching and fighting and punching. And eventually, Ben manages to land a blow straight to Max. He socks him in the jaw, as George would say. And Matt Damon staggers backwards into the busy highway. And just then, a truck comes speeding down the road. And Ben sees this. He sees the truck about to like mow down his best friend. And he snaps immediately into superhero mode. And he leaps into the oncoming traffic, total Batman style, and shoves his best friend out of the path of traffic into safety. And the last thing we hear is a screech of tyres, and it cuts to black. Sometime later...
Just looking at your phone, how much text is left on this?
We're getting to the end. We're getting to the end. Yeah.
No. Just like, wait, was that the end?
Was that it? Yeah.
Oh, no.
And
no,
he's dead.
Not.
End of film. Sometime later, we see Ben come to in a hospital bedroom, and we hear the doctors saying to somebody, Your friend has suffered severe head trauma. We're afraid he may never be the same. And then we see Matt Damon sitting at his bedside. He's like, hey, buddy, how you feeling? And Ben's like, where am I? Who am I? And Matt says, look, you had an accident, but it's going to be okay because I'm your best friend and I'm going to take care of you because you saved my life.
Yeah.
We're going to go away together, you and me. We're going to get a little place in the countryside far away from Hollywood. And you've got me and I've got you and I'm going to help you to recover. And Ben looks him in the eyes with love and hope and says, will there be rabbits? And then, boom, credits roll. And that is the end of Mice and Ben.
All right, well, that was something.
Thoughts?
Good. I'd watch that.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Like, it's all about them making fun of their own, current personas, I guess, at the point. So
It's a shame that we've done the exact same thing.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay.
I've done that.
That would be, that'd be quite, of all the weeks, so yeah.
Someday, we're gonna have us a little house and a couple of acres. And the cow and the
Pig and chicken. And we're gonna live off the fatted land and have rabbits.
And have
Go on.
rabbits.
Okay, so I had a difficult time with this as well.
Sure.
It's not really an easy film to make a sequel to.
It's not. Well, you chose it.
Yep. My bad. So, well, I'm glad that you didn't do this, but I went with a prequel.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's called Of Mice and Boys.
Of Mice and Boys. Okay. Sounds...
The obvious prequel name.
Yeah, cool. Okay. So it's set in the same time period?
Vaguely. 20 years earlier.
20 years earlier, sure.
Yeah.
Cool, okay.
Oh, sorry, I've been saying the whole film's set in the 1910s. The film is set in the 1930s. Mine's set in the 1910s.
Right, okay, sure.
That's it. So, yeah, they're all sort of teenagers in this.
Okay.
In high school.
High school.
Little similarities here.
Okay, I see. Okay, cool. Is it going to be Justin Bieber?
I've gone with a more serious film.
Okay.
So, I've cast serious people.
Okay.
So I started off with Lucas Hedges. I know we cast him in everything, but I even looked up like male actors around his age. He's the only person who's actually been heard of, other than Timothy Chalamet, who is just not going to beat George.
Well, I was thinking that I thought that might be the two, like Lucas Hedges and Timothy Chalamet as George and Lennie. No?
Nah.
Okay, cool, fine. So he's George. So Lucas Hedges is George.
Lucas Hedges is playing a 17-year-old George.
Cool, okay.
We start off with a few little scenes of him celebrating Christmas with his parents.
Sure.
Parents played by John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John.
Wow, okay. I mean, I can't wait to see where this is going.
Somewhat serious, let's say. Somewhat.
Okay. I feel like putting Travolta in a period film now is going to be tricky because much like Cher, he doesn't have the face of a human.
That's very fair.
You know what I mean? Like there was a point like Cher is a great actress, she's won an Oscar, but one of her last serious films was called Tea with Mussolini and it was set in the 1940s. And she's good in it, but it's weird because she's playing like a woman in the 1940s and she has obviously a very plasticated face.
John Travolta looks like he's been built with a 3D printer.
Yes, he does. That is a great description of John Travolta. Yeah, it's very odd.
I don't know what's happened to him.
Yeah.
But, well, that's
yeah.
it. No idea what Olivia Newton-John is up to these days. You might know.
She's doing okay, she's touring. She I think she could pull it off. She's a good actress. She hasn't had too much face work done. Not then plastic surgery shaming. It's your own body. You can do what you like with it. But
sounds like you were.
Only if you then think you can then be realistic in a period piece.
Ah.
So he couldn't, she could. Fine. Continue. I'm interested. Are they going to sing?
No, there's no singing in this.
Why would you reunite John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John and not have them sing?
Just tease.
Go on.
So they own a small farm somewhere in South USA. No idea.
Sure. The state of South USA.
Just keep it general.
Yes.
They're struggling for money, so George has to spend pretty much all his free time working on the farm.
Okay.
So he doesn't really have many friends.
Sure.
/ any friends.
Oh.
So cut to the first day back to school after Christmas break. And George is just arriving. He's very excited to get back because he's a bit of a nerd.
Okay.
He goes to his first lesson.
Have you developed a bit of a lisp this week? What's going on?
He goes to his first lesson, which is maths.
Okay.
Get my words mixed up.
Okay, sure.
The teacher is Bryan Cranston.
Sure. Is he selling like 1910s meth?
On the side?
Is he selling opium to the kids on the side? Yeah. There's a side story I want to see. Yeah.
He welcomes them all back to the new school year and then starts the lesson. He's talking about what they're going to cover this year and what maths is or whatever. Don't know.
Okay.
Then someone knocks on the door and walks in without waiting for a response. It is very tall, very muscly, very overly confident Zac Efron.
Okay, interesting.
Mr. Williams looks up at him. Oh, I gave that guy a name. Mr. Williams looks up at him.
Is it relevant?
No.
Okay. Well,
Not even slightly.
I appreciate the detail.
I feel like everybody's got a name, but it's like part of a name. Like they'll have the first name or something.
Except poor Curly's wife. Is the one woman in this who has no name?
Well, it's been Living Newton John so far.
Sure, yeah. Oh, you didn't name her. That's right, yeah. Sexist.
There's nobody else.
No. Okay, well, it's true to the original, I guess. Go
Yeah.
on, yeah.
So Mr. Williams looks up at him, checking him out a little, and says, "Hi, who are you then?" He says, "Oh, hi, sir. My name's Leonard Small." Small, hey? That doesn't seem right. He said with a wink to the class, hopefully referring to his height.
I'd love it if Bryan Cranston was playing this really predatory, creepy gay teacher. That's a role I'd like to see.
I reckon he'd be quite fun with it.
Yeah.
So sit down there next to George. And then George says, "Hi, Leonard, I'm George," holding out his hand. And Len says, "Hi, George. Pleasure to make your acquaintance." There's an interesting connection between them. They spend all break time hanging out. And George is a little impressed that Leonard smokes already. And he's so cool, he wears his baseball cap all the way around.
Wow. Did they have baseball caps in 1910?
There's probably a lot of things here that are not in 1910.
Okay, so a few anachronisms here and there, but sure.
Yeah. For all I know, high school wasn't in 1910.
I was thinking, what would a high school look like? It'd probably be more like a... Yeah. I don't feel like those guys got secondary education. But let's go with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm on board. Continue.
Yeah. They don't have the next lesson together and so don't see each other until lunch. When Leonard comes out, he's made friends with a group of jocks who also smoke with the baseball caps all the way around.
Okay.
But these are George's bullies.
Okay.
So George is pretty upset about this, that his new best friend has now made good friends with the group of people who bully him all the time.
Oh, no.
So after school, he goes back home, and while working out in the field, he talks everything through with his dad. And his dad gives him the advice of, like, "Son," this is John Travolta saying.
Yeah, I'm already picturing it.
"Son, this is the time in life where you're going to find something or someone that you want to pursue. If you know for certain that's what you want, then don't give up at the first hurdle."
This is sounding familiar to me.
This is where I'm going.
Oh, yay!
Also, John Travolta saying those lines?
Yes, yeah, that would definitely be somewhat meaningful. So if people haven't picked it up, this is the beautiful speech from the end of the film, Call Me By Your Name, in which Michael Stuhlbarg,
Yeah.
his son is Timothy Chalamet, has fallen in love with Armie Hammer, obviously in that film, and his dad is very accepting of it and says, you know, if you love someone, you should pursue it, and maybe I'm a little bit gay too. That's the short version of that beautiful speech.
So the next day, George goes into school and gets friendly with Leonard.
Okay,
The days and the weeks go by, and as I'm known for, we have a montage.
great, cool.
A montage of them becoming bigger and bigger friends, by the end of which George now calls him Lennie. And Lennie is still friends with the jocks, but friends with George as well on the side.
Is it like secret friends or?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
secret friends.
sure. Like you and me. You never acknowledge me in public. Outside this podcast, you cut me dead.
It's early summer now, and Lennie is hosting a party at his house for the weekend. Lennie's house is situated on someone else's farm, but he lives with his dad, who tonight is at work. He's a vet pulling an all-night shift.
Sure.
So this is where Lennie gets his obsession for small animals.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Thought it's all out. Party is great fun, and all the people are dancing to the latest hit sensation on the radio, which is actually a little cameo appearance from Ed Sheeran.
Oh, God, no. Why? What, has he written a theme tune?
Maybe.
Oh, God. Again, did they have radios in 1910?
I'm pretty sure they did.
Okay, fine. I'll go with it.
I have no idea, though.
Okay.
Whatever. This is why I'm awful at pub quizzes. I don't know anything.
So Ed Sheeran, is he appearing in the film as like or is it just his song is going to play on the radio?
It's not even his song. It's like he's doing a song in the style of 1910s music. Or
Oh,
whatever.
sure, okay. Like Pick a Bale of Cotton or something.
I have no idea.
Sure, okay.
I don't know anything about anything, John. Surely you've got that from by now.
That's why you're such a good podcast partner.
George follows Lennie around everywhere at the party, hiding a bit whenever Lennie talks to the jocks. After a few drinks, everybody's getting a bit merry and loose. George takes Lennie by the hand and leads him to the kitchen where nobody is, and they immediately start making out and stuff.
Ooh, hot.
After a while, Lennie hears someone coming down the hall, and just before they walk in the door and see them, he jumps away from George. It's one of the jocks who walks through the door. So the jock looks at them both, confused about everybody's body language. Lennie blurts out, "No, George, I don't want to go and play with the rabbits. Get away from me."
Wow. Good cover, Lennie.
Lennie high-fives the jock and walks out the room without looking back.
So I'm just imagining how that scene would play out. No, I don't want to play the rabbits. Oh, yeah.
George, obviously feeling terrible about the way that Lennie has just treated him, runs home to his parents, telling them everything, and they support him and tell him that things will get better and there's other fish in the sea and stuff.
Oh, these are very accepting for 1910 parents. Like,
Thought it'd be nice.
it's lovely. Yeah, I appreciate it, but yeah.
Again, another thing that I've probably got wrong about the 1910s, but we'll see.
I don't think it was particularly common, but yeah.
So time goes by, school's starting to draw to a close, and homecoming is coming up as soon as exams are done.
Okay,
So this is one of those stories that concludes with homecoming.
great. As all great teen movies do.
George goes to homecoming by himself, with the hope of leaving with someone, but whatever. He's not really expecting much.
Sure.
Lennie is there hanging out with his gang. They all have well-fitting matching suits, but George is just borrowing his dad's suit.
Mm-hmm.
So despite being apart and not having spoken or even seen each other in weeks, while the exams and whatever are happening, Lennie and George can't keep their eyes off each other. After a while, Lennie goes over to George, grabs him by the hand, takes him into a stationery closet somewhere, and the camera does not pan away.
Oh, great. Oh, good.
I know that annoyed you about calling me by your name.
It did, big time, yeah.
When they're done, Lennie apologises for his behaviour at the party and confesses his love for George. George says that to prove it to him, he wants Lennie to tell his jock friends about them, which Lennie begrudgingly agrees.
It seems like suicide, but okay, sure.
They come out of the closet, pun intended, and walk over to Lennie's friends hand in hand.
Uh-huh.
Lennie introduces George as his boyfriend to them, and it kicks off.
Okay.
They start beating Lennie and George up, and in an attempt to protect George, Lennie lies on top of him and takes the brunt of the beating. Mr. Williams, Bryan Cranston, runs over and breaks it up, but not before Lennie has taken a serious beating to the head. The jocks are sent away, and Mr. Williams calls an ambulance for Lennie. George is mostly okay, though.
Yeah.
So one thing leads to another, and the jocks go to Lennie's house and burn it to the ground.
Oh, no.
They didn't know, but Lennie's dad was inside.
Oh, gosh. Oh, this is tragedy upon tragedy.
It is.
It's awful.
So George rushes home to warn his parents about this, and they agree to run away immediately, but George says that he's got to stay behind and get Lennie.
Sure.
Because Lennie's not going to do well now.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time George gets to the hospital, Lennie has already been in surgery or whatever, and... Sorry.
Or whatever. Tight scripting.
And is in a hospital bed with a bandage around his head.
Okay.
Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's not safe there, so George takes him away. He manages to get to the train station and stow away in a train carriage. We fade to black with George sitting on the floor of the carriage with Lennie's head in his lap.
Aw.
That's that.
Oh, that was really nice. I like that. That was
Nice
good.
and boys.
I mean,
Really
that
nice?
was what? Well,
Really
it was a nice sentiment, I guess. Sort of.
In some ways, maybe.
In some ways, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was very anachronistic, like deeply anachronistic.
Yes.
But I thought that was an intriguing way to explain their relationship. That actually maybe they were, lovers or attracted to one another, and then obviously Lennie had well, not an accident, but that would explain why George was so affectionate to him and also felt kind of beholden to him. So yeah, that's good.
And then it really adds something to the later film where he has to kill him at the end and just now he's got a much, much bigger history.
Oh
with
god,
this guy,
yeah, it's a huge tragedy, yeah.
and was also partially the cause of it.
Oh god, now I'm even more depressed. Thanks.
Yep, that's what I went for.
Yeah. Oh, but John Travolta. Right, yeah. Very good. No, I think that was very inventive, very interesting. I would never have thought of that in a million years. Should we get to some listener submissions then?
Go for it.
Cool. So, we had a lot this week, because of course, it's a quite a well-known story.
Good.
As usual, we had a lot of good plays on the title.
Mm-hmm.
So, Zachary Pierce said, Men, Two Mice, number 2.
Nice.
Similarly, Tom Brennan said, Two Mice, Two Men.
I prefer that one.
Yeah, I like Two Mice, Two Men better, yeah. Mike Carey said, More Mice, More Men. Johnny James Fuller said, Of Mice and Men Too, The Squeakquel. Very good.
Should have seen that one coming.
Yeah. Will Buckingham said, Of Mice and Men Too, Lennie's Revenge. Yeah, actually,
Lennie comes back as a zombie or something.
Well, we've got a run of these. So, Joe Rayner said, Return of the Living Lennie. Sean Gleason said, Of Mice and Men Too, Frankenstein's Lennie. Mm-hmm. Horrifying to think about, but yeah. You might not get this one. This is a 90s reference that I enjoyed. Tell me if this means anything to you or not. Jason Risserstein said, Of Biker Mice from Mars and Men. Does that mean anything to you? Biker Mice from Mars? It was a cartoon?
No.
Saturday mornings?
No.
No? Okay. Well, I liked it.
Cool, great.
Yeah. Then we got some actual ideas. Asobi Datora said, 2 dudes are locked in a room. Mice slowly encircle and outnumber them and then eat them. Grim. Very grim.
That sounds like one of the scenes from Saw or something.
Yeah. Maybe that's what he was going for, I don't know. Drew Miller said, in the far future, Lennie is resurrected by a shadowy government agency to fight a war for the very future of mankind as mecha humanoid infantry combat elite of MICE and men. Mike Silver said, the year is 2031. We discover that Lennie survived the shooting and has been kept in cryogenic limbo by government scientists for 120 years. Lennie's consciousness is downloaded and used as the basis for the least helpful AI assistant ever. Pet rabbit sales go through the roof.
Great.
I like the idea that whatever you ask Alexa, it just orders you a pet rabbit.
Yeah.
Stephen Castleton said of Mice and Men 2, The Legend of Lennie's Gold.
Mm-hmm.
Jamie Piedmont Murgatroyd Teller said of Modest Mice and Men, the band of Modest Mouse. Dennis Fanning said O.M.&M, Mice Guys finish last.
Nice.
Yeah, very good. Nick Roseblade said of Mice and Men 2, Weekend at Micey's. George and Candy go off and set up their dream farm, but they put the deeds in Lennie's name. The bank wants to come and make sure everything's shipshape. George and Candy sneak back and steal Lennie's body, which Curly's been using as a punch bag. Hilarity ensues. So that's a riff on a film called Weekend at Bernie's, where the plot is that basically two characters have to pretend a corpse is still alive.
Right, sure.
Wackiness ensues. And Walt Williams said of Cats and Crazy Cat Ladies. So maybe that's like a feminist spin, I don't know.
How is that a feminist spin?
No, it's probably not. It's anti-feminist, if anything. Yeah.
What's going through your head?
Well, is it of Cats and Crazy? Well, I'm guessing it's a female cast, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Sure.
I mean, it's a feminist.
No, okay, fine.
Feminist thing.
Okay. We can make it feminist. It could be like ironic. I don't know. I'm giving Walt Williams the benefit of the doubt. Our good friend Julio from the Contrarians podcast, at Contrarian Prime, said of M1C3 and M3N, sorry, of Mice and Men, but with numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Awakening. In the weeks following Lennie's death, George slowly realizes something. He liked it. He liked killing him. And now he must quench the constant thirst for blood that swells inside him. So I'm a little concerned that guesting on our podcast has caused Julio to pick up on some dark impulses that we usually go with. So get help, Julio.
We both have. It helps.
Yeah, we're both in advanced counselling at this stage.
We don't murder anymore.
No. We're on a 12-step. It's fine. False Starts Podcast, at False Starts Pod, said, it's 10 years later. George has achieved the American dream and he now lives in a beautiful big house in the country. He wakes one night and goes outside where he's greeted by Lennie dressed as a giant horrific rabbit who tells George that the world is going to end. So yes, it's just Donnie Darko. Blokebusters said of Mice and Men, exactly the same but was made in an animation style and has with Redwall-esque mice as all the characters. Did you ever read Redwall or watch Redwall?
I think I did a long time ago.
Yeah,
I don't really
mice.
remember it.
Yeah, could be good. Blokebusters then put in brackets, can you tell I've not seen this one? And finally, Heavy Metal Horrorcast at HMHcast said, the truth about Mice and Men. A whimsical rom-com which sees two drifters forge an unlikely friendship while fighting for the affections of the same girl. Animosity soon turns to love, however, when the pair realise their soulmate was never as far as they seemed. That's kind of similar to yours. Yeah, cool.
Lovely.
Very nice. So yeah, those are our sequels. Thank you very much, guys. If you have a sequel idea for Of Mice and Men, please let us know. Or any films we've done in the past, please let us know. We are Beyond the Box Set. You can find us at beyondtheboxset.com. Our podcast is available on all good podcasting platforms, including iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Acast, Podbean. You can also find us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr. Just search Beyond the Box Set or at Beyond the Box Set for Twitter. And if you really like the show, you can leave us a review, hit subscribe, it really helps us out, or you can become a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/Beyond the Box Set. Or you can also buy Beyond the Box Set merchandise at tpublic.com. Again, just search Beyond the Box Set. And finally, guess next week.
Yeah.
Next week, you looked like I'd missed something. I don't know. You were making a face.
No.
Okay.
I was making a face like, wow, he's actually doing it in like good time.
Oh, okay. Well, now you threw me off, so well done. So it's my choice next week.
Mm-hmm.
So I realised that accidentally we've had a bit of a theme in the past couple of weeks, which is Julio brought us That Thing You Do, which was directed by Tom Hanks, who's obviously better known as an actor.
All right, okay, yeah.
And you gave us Of Mice and Men, directed by Gary Sinise, who's better known as an actor. So I thought I would also choose a film that was directed by a well-known actor. So I have decided that we are going to do the classic 90s comedy, The Cable Guy, which stars Jim Carrey and Ben Stiller, and was directed by Ben Stiller.
Right.
So, have you ever seen The Cable Guy?
No.
Okay. Well, that's our film for next week.
Okay, warning you, I'm not a Ben Stiller fan.
Okay, are you a Jim Carrey fan?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, we'll see.
Hit and miss.
Okay, what have you got against Ben Stiller?
I just don't like him.
Don't like him? Well, maybe this will change your mind. I don't know. we shall see. So yeah, join us next week for The Cable Guy.
Great,
So,
I can't wait.
Enjoy. It's from Of Mice and Men to The Cable Guy. You can't say we are not diverse on this podcast. Cool.
Lovely.
Right, okay, so see you next week. Thanks for listening. Bye.
See you later, bye.